KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the International Wealth Builders Radio Show with your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes, here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon after we have gone through such weather and everything, and everyone's trying to get out and enjoy the sunshine in California right now. But I hope you stay tuned to the show. At our show, if this is your first time tuning in, I'll focus on accessory dwelling units. And those are the ADUs. They're becoming more and more popular. We're hearing all the buzz about them. We had a $40,000 grant that came out a few months ago to help people build ADUs. As I'm watching television on some of the shows and the movies, you know, they're referring to accessory dwelling units and ADUs and so forth. So it's just kind of surprising that a lot of people still do not understand what accessory units are, what ADUs entail to get built, to take your idea to a reality all the way through. And recently I've had several speaking engagements whereby people were asking me exactly my role and my niche and how I developed my passion for helping my community leverage these California accessory dwelling unit laws. And so today I'm going to take the first part of the show to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to talk about funds that's available if you're looking to sell property and you need to fix it up without any money out of your pocket, with bad credit, no credit pull, no interest on the money until you sell your property. I'm going to talk about how we have a program that can help you do that and how some of my clients have utilized that and the benefits they've seen. And then the bottom half of the hour, I'm expecting our guest, Mr. Lionel Hicks, who's an appraiser, who will come in and kind of connect the dots on steps we can take to maximize our property value, utilizing the funds I just mentioned through the Revitalize program, how accessory dwelling units are part of our future that we need to get used to, and how appraising them and getting value out of this investment is evolving. And so he'll be joining us at the bottom half of the hour. So I hope you stay tuned for the entire show. I hopefully that you get some benefit from it and that you can take action after the information you receive today. So in my background, I practiced law for over 25 years. During the time I practiced, I also did business development. I handle civil cases, work with criminal attorneys, but my niche was basically in helping emerging businesses, small business owners who want to go to the next level, making sure their infrastructure was in place, reviewing contracts. I also had an aerospace background, and so in contract compliance and the regulations and so forth that we have to, comply with when we get a government contract or a city level contract. And so I really have worked with business owners and entrepreneurs for most of my career, not only as an attorney, but now in the real estate space as well. And so a few years ago, when I was the chairman of the board for the Black Chamber of Commerce Inland Empire, I got an opportunity to participate in a program to help take my business to the next level. And as I was sitting in that class, they wanted me to focus on just one area of real estate. And I found it very difficult to put myself in a box like that. I have experience in doing residential real estate. I got into real estate focusing on commercial because commercial brought into focus all of the legal knowledge I had, contractual knowledge, working with mortgage brokers, developers, contractors, all that legal experience, brought it over into real estate, into the commercial arena. And so I enjoy real estate and I enjoy working with people. And so I'm sitting there and they tell me to pick one thing to focus on to take my business to the next level. I was finding that very difficult to do. But so happens I was sitting next to a young lady who was not only a member of our Black Chamber of Commerce, but had also been a past client and friend over years. As an attorney, I had represented her in several business endeavors. I think she opened up a curve, she did a restaurant. I mean, she was always starting businesses and she's been very successful and she's just been perpetual, like in motion for years. And she was sitting next to me and she shared with me a story of a friend of hers who had recently obtained a job in Los Angeles with a company that was focusing on converting detached garages into accessory dwelling units. And she started to share this story with me, and she told me about this company, and that their model at the time was that they would go in, convert the detached garage, it, help pre screen the tenants, do the property management, and share the rental income with the homeowner without any cost to the homeowner. I got excited. I thought, God, this is what we need, especially here in the Inland Empire. We have some of the smallest houses, the biggest lots. We have some economic challenges. We have credit issues. And if we can bring accessory dwelling units to our community and create a positive cash flow, change the wealth dynamic of some of our families, I thought this was just the way to go. And so I focused on that. I started focusing on and diving into accessory dwelling unit because I really felt, and I still do, that accessory dwelling units are the best way to leverage property that you own in California. It's the best way to leverage what you already own and control. When during the election, people were talking about how $500 or $600 a month would make such a difference in families' income and lifestyle and their ability to meet their obligations and to provide for their family. And with the accessory dwelling units, we could see that even partnering with the company and sharing part of the rent, they could get $500 or $600 positive cash flow. And if you're able to finance and make your dream of an ADU a reality and rent it out, the cash flow potential was positive and could be substantial depending on where you are in California and the end tenant that you are targeting, whether or not it be a standard rental in your backyard, whether you want to turn it into an Airbnb. We have clients and investors who are doing short term rentals to visiting nurses, to medical professionals. Even have a client who is leasing to an insurance company who has to find housing for people who are displaced because of fire, flood, or other disasters. I mean, in Southern California, we know what's going on up in some of our mountain areas and community as a result of the snow and different things. There are going to be people that are going to have insurance claims and they're going to have to find temporary housing until their home is ready to be inhabited again. And so there's all kind of opportunities for you to, provide housing, kind of focus on the target market that works for you and that can actually, help your family. Like I said, create some generational wealth, increase your retirement fund, build up an investment nest. I network with a lot of investors and people who are wholesaling, they're flipping, they might want to buy in whole. And so some people, you're out and you're buying somebody else's mortgage, you're putting a lot of money into other people's problems and headaches and trying to buy it. Then you put rehab and construction costs to get it up, then rent it or put it back on the market. And actually, you could get a better return if you do that in your backyard. Now, some people say, I don't want anybody in my backyard. I don't want anybody back there. But you know, in a lot of cases, we can put an ADU in your backyard that's further away from your bedroom window than your neighbor's house is. So, what's the difference? You rather that neighbor that if you get into a loud argument, they can hear it because it's so close right next door to pay a mortgage company instead of somebody paying you the check? I think we really need to think about leveraging what we already own and control. And as far as oh, far as detached houses go, I mean garages, a lot of us rarely drive past the garage, past the house into the garage in order to park a car and walk back to the house. So there's just opportunities. I have to take a short break right now, but please stay with me. Come back and I will tell you how my services can help and how you can get money to leverage property you already own and control.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real men of real estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Welcome back to the International Wealth Builders Radio Show with your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes. In our first segment, I was talking a little bit about how I got started focusing on accessory dwelling units, and I got kind of off on some of my passion and thoughts about why you should build an accessory dwelling unit. But I just want to introduce you to my company, which is ADU Advantage. And ADU Advantage, we serve as an education and resource hub to homeowners and investors who want to build accessory dwelling units, especially in the Inland Empire region. We know that the accessory dwelling unit laws are statewide. However, every city, every county, different areas and jurisdictions are interpreting the requirements differently. They're embracing the laws differently. And so the more local your consultant can be and your team, the better off we are to be able to complete an accessory dwelling unit project without delays and unexpected issues. So I am Dr. Sharon Barnes, CEO of ADU Advantage, and again, we provide consulting services for homeowners and investors, and we have service packages that can help. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, you just need a little help, you have a few questions, you want to be able to pick up the phone and ask somebody for assistance to get you to the next step, we can do that. All the way through having companies that can, we have partners that can take your idea of an ADU all the way through construction, whether it be modular or stick built. ADUs can be garage conversions, they can be modular structures, they can be ground up construction, and a variety of multifamily regulations are also out there so that you can leverage apartments and so forth. And so we are here to be that hub to help you put together that team, get the resources that you need to build your ADU. So whether you're a seasoned investor or a homeowner that's never built anything, we're here to help. So please connect with me online at aduadvantage.com. You can find our Facebook page on ADU Advantage. Find Dr. Sharon Barnes, ADU and real estate page on Facebook, and just search me out. DM me if you want to set up a meeting or look to have a partnership with helping our community build more accessory dwelling units. I would love to meet you and talk to you about how we can work together and how we can get more housing units here in the Inland Empire. Now I want to talk about the Revitalize program, which I mentioned earlier. And the Revitalize program basically has no fees, no interest, no credit check, and is available to help you sell your property. So a couple of my clients, we've used Revitalize. I love the program. I've seen a lot of benefits in it. I want to share some of those scenarios with you. But as it relates to accessory dwelling units, I'm finding that a lot of couples are building accessory dwelling units for their parents and for maybe their in-laws or some other family member. And in a lot of cases, when that is the goal, to build an accessory dwelling unit for the parents, it's usually a property that needs to be sold. Now, as a real estate professional, I'm searching the multiple listing services all the time for houses for clients, looking for deals for investors, and I see time and time again listed properties that says absolutely no repairs. Sellers not paying anything. They're not repairing anything, don't ask for any money or anything like that. And so, it's very hard because, life happens and there's different motivations that people have for putting their property on the market. And if you're building an accessory dwelling unit for your parents and your parents are selling their property, of course they want to get top dollar for their property because the more money they get off the sale, the lesser the burden is for paying for the accessory dwelling unit. And so with the Revitalize program, you can actually fix up the property. We have used the Revitalize program to take care of not only landscaping, plumbing issues, electrical issues, but you can take care of all that, change the floors, get it painted, and everything without any money up front. And it has resulted in getting a higher price for your property and basically paying for itself. And so I think it's a great opportunity. So a couple of ways I've used the program. I had a listing in Los Angeles, and we put it on the market, and the market was really at a frenzy at the time, and we immediately got an offer for an investor. But that investor wanted to basically bulldoze down the house and put up apartments. But the city had put a moratorium on demolishing houses and building multifamily on that block. So in LA, they started putting moratoriums block by block. So on that specific block, that developer could not implement his plan for another 2 years. So of course he backed out the offer. At that time, I would talk to my clients. They enrolled the property into the Revitalize program. And one of the first things that I usually recommend is for us to get a pre-sale inspection, which is similar to a home inspection, but without the buyers on behalf of the seller. So we had a pre-sale inspection. That inspection revealed that there was foundational problems. The floors were slanted. There were compliance issues with the plumbing and electrical being out of date. So what that ended up doing was actually giving my clients the information they needed to accept the fact that we had an investment property. when you have an investment property, you need to understand the return on investment, how the investors calculate the numbers, and you need to price and be willing to sell accordingly. And so that's what we did, and we were able to sell it within 2 weeks, and it got sold. Everybody knew what they were buying, they knew what the problem was, and it was a fair exchange based on the condition of the property. So that's one way it can be used. Now, getting a home inspection or a pre-sale inspection is a two-edged sword because as a realtor, I can tell you that when you get a pre-home inspection, it gives you a clear picture of the condition of your home. So there should be no surprises when someone does a home inspection. However, if you choose not to take care of some of the serious problems in that inspection, it will come out because you're required to share that report with the buyer once you get accepted offer. So it's a little two-edged sword. The other story I'll share with you that's totally on the opposite is that I went to take a listing in the city of Rialto, and my client, the seller, he wanted at least $500,000 for his house. Based on what I saw that day, I did not think that we could get it sold at that price. And so I told him why. We had a very frank discussion, and I told him that, 425 to 450 was where I would list the property at. And so we actually talked, and he wasn't happy, but he respected the information I was giving him, and he allowed me to list the property. And that day, I took the listing for $450,000. Now, he enrolled in the Revitalized program, and we went out and we got a home inspection, and we had a contractor come through and give us a bid. And the Revitalized program gave him $20,000 that we had available to fix up the house. So we put in new flooring, we painted, we did different things to make the house available to a buyer based on not only my suggestions, but verified by the contractor who walked through, who bidded the job, and based on the contractor's experience as to what would get the house sold. And so, with the $20,000 investment, we were able to sell that house for $550,000. We sold the house for $100,000 more than the original list price. Now, once they paid back that $20,000 out of escrow, that was a net of $80,000 that they benefited from, even more than what he had originally wanted for the property. So knowing the condition of the property, fixing the water heaters, the electrical, putting in luxury vinyl flooring, painting, brightening up the place, taking care of landscaping can make a big difference. And we know right now with inflation, with the economic situation that we're in, a lot of people do not have money in their pockets to leverage, don't have the money in their pocket to leverage their home and fix it up to the level they need to get top dollar. And so this is an exclusive program for Caldwell Banker Realty. So if you are interested and you're interested in leasing the property with an agent like myself, you can reach out to me. And it's definitely available. As we say, no fees, no interest, no credit checks. Also, the one other thing, it's great for investors. So we've had investors utilize it because we had one example was an investment property in the high desert, and it had an unexpected leak out in a plumbing issue, major plumbing issue, and it took the budget, it exhausted the budget unexpectedly for the investor, and they still had work to be done on the property. Did not want to go in for another loan or get an extension or anything. And so what we were able to do by enrolling into the Revitalized program is that we had got a second opinion from a general contractor as to the things that he would do in the house and the price to get it sold. And so they got another about $25,000 to go in, finish the rehab on the house, and with no money out their pocket, with no other loans or whatever. And they went and we were able to do that, and that house sold within 2 weeks again. Once the work is done, it's very the curve appeal and the enthusiasm. We do use professional photographs and professional marketing, and so that coupled with the work we put in was able to get that investor property sold so he can move on to his next project. And again, so if you're an investor or homeowner and interested in selling and need to get the property up to par so you can get the best value for your property, please reach out to me. Again, Dr. Sharon Barnes at aduadvantage.com. And we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real men of real estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Welcome back to the International Wealth Builders radio show with your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes. And I hope you stay tuned for the remainder of the hour. During the first two segments, I talked about my passion, my start, my company, ADU Advantage, and how we help homeowners and investors build accessory dwelling units by educating them, providing resource, project management, helping them put their team together, and that we're real passionate about helping build more accessory dwelling units here in the Inland Empire. I also mentioned about the Revitalize program that allows you money to fix up your property if you're interested in selling it with no fees, no interest, no credit checks, so you can get the maximum for your property, and that it also can be a bridge loan for investors. And now I am excited to welcome to my show today Mr. Lionel Hicks, who is an appraiser, also a real estate professional. So we get a 2-for-1 here.
Yes.
And talking about accessory dwelling units, like I said, they're here to stay. And we are talking about the evolution of the law and people's interest in accessory dwelling units getting more and more popular. And we need to embrace them because we're talking about garage conversions, ground up, modular, But we know that on the horizon, people are doing 3D printing. They're doing total ecosystem, biodegradable, dwelling units because of our energy problems. Just last night, someone was talking about trying to use containers and everything. Now, those are getting far and far away from what we're used to, and so it takes a little bit more time to get those on board. But we do need to take advantage of this wave on accessory dwelling units.
I agree.
And as I was mentioning, earlier, that we would also be talking about selling, the parents' property sometime when the children are building accessory dwelling units and so forth. So just want to definitely get your insight on steps we can take to maximize our property value and some of the things you're seeing in the accessory dwelling unit industry and problems. So I'm looking forward to having a great conversation with you. Welcome again.
Thank you.
Lionel Thomas, appraiser, real estate professional. Thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I've seen so many different scenarios that I'm trying to pick one and choose a path to explain. But in the scenario, because from what you just said, like if you have a family member who is aging in place, and maybe they need additional income, adding an ADU for them and maybe renting out the single-family home is a beautiful, brilliant idea.
Exactly.
The equity is there. They're going to enjoy a newly constructed home that fits their lifestyle because they don't need all the space. They don't need all the function of a whole home anymore.
Exactly.
And then they can benefit from the rental income of that same property without, paying additional taxes for another property or another piece of land or whatever the case could be.
Yeah. So I had one client, prospect, who's out in like Cathedral City, and they were building an ADU in their backyard for their mother.
Yep.
But the mother had a property for sale in L.A.
Yep.
But the mother's on a fixed income, so she can't really fix up that property. But getting that property sold, and then they were worried about the valuation of the ADU on their property.
Okay. Well, let's talk. So in Indio or out there in Riverside County, there, there's more creatives there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So architecturally, I think it's a little more open.
Okay.
So adding an ADU there is obviously a great thing. Also, there's benefits to like Airbnb properties where people want to use them as rentals. But speaking specifically, if you are going to add ADU, I would suggest to add a detached ADU, right? Maybe one that has its own gas meter, electrical meter. Okay. And the reason why I suggest that is because then it's easy for an appraiser or easy for someone who's going to evaluate their property to say this is 2 buildings with 2 individual living areas, and they'll value it that way.
Okay.
Sometimes when the ADU is attached to the home with only 1 meter, it's a little tricky on how it's valued, whether it's valued as like an addition.
Okay.
Right? It's just like this is maybe an additional room, an additional bathroom, because it doesn't have its own like full living utility.
Oh, okay. Okay. So even though, so I had the client that had like a 5-bedroom house.
Okay.
And it had like the living room and the great room, and the great room was on the other side of the kitchen. So they wanted to put the wall up and put a kitchen right behind the existing kitchen.
Good idea.
And then use the master bedroom as the living quarter. Already had the bathroom in there, but only thing they had to do was add the kitchen and add a separate door for a person to come down and come in. You're saying even though it would have all the features of an accessory dwelling unit, the fact that it was attached to the footprint of the house is going to give them less value?
Well, what you just described is kind of like a conversion.
Okay.
Right? That's what I would call that. It's a conversion of existing living area or living space. And in that scenario, when I get the order, let's say I'm working for whatever bank or credit union, I get the order and I type in the address, the tax report is likely going to reflect what's been there for the last 50 years.
Exactly.
So maybe not until I get there, I'm going to see that they have split the home in a way that is acceptable or, usable for them, which is good. But I guess the core issue is you want to be conforming. Okay. And ADUs themselves are burgeoning, so they're kind of non-conforming. And if you is that a bad way to say? Is that a bad word or what?
Well, no, it's not a bad word. It's just kind of new to me. Okay, I'm trying to get this. Okay,
I'm saying conforming because
are we talking about non-conforming use or non-conforming structurally?
Good question.
That's maybe where I'm getting, because non-conforming when it comes to lending or whatever, in my mind got one thing. The way you were saying it kind of had another.
I'm thinking about it from the lending perspective.
Okay.
Because as I choose comparables, if that same home we're talking about, it was 5 bedrooms.
Right.
It's almost the same comparable is going to be chosen for it as before whatever it was then now. But the kicker now is it has a kitchen in there.
Right.
So now I have to say, well, does the zoning accept this kitchen? Is the kitchen done? Is it safe?
Right.
Does it have smoke detectors? And then the question is going to say, does it have its own utilities?
Right.
So then I'm going to get to a scenario where I'm looking at comparables, and I have to decide, do I compare it to these comparables that have multiple utility meters or only one utility meters? Or am I choosing the same comparables I chose before when it was still a 5-bedroom?
Right.
So in that scenario, because it's a conversion of the interior square footage, it's a little tricky. It's not a bad idea.
Right.
I applaud anyone who does that because I want them to have the functional that it's their home.
Right, exactly.
But you want to create a situation that's not easy, but something that the value is there, no questions asked.
Exactly. And having this discussion, it kind of brings up, and I don't know exactly like how to say it, but anyway. it's like eyeballing it. It's like when I see that 5-bedroom home, okay, that now has a separate entrance, so I can knock on the front door and meet one family, and I can go down the side, knock on another door, and meet another family, and they're renting it out. Then I'm thinking it's like a duplex, okay?
It is a duplex, attached duplex, right?
But it's not still getting the value of a duplex. Eyeballing, it looks like a duplex to me, and that's how I would describe it to someone, but technically, and from a lending standpoint, it might not be a duplex.
What is the zoning?
Well, I mean, we got the ADUs though. If it's a R1, we can still put an ADU there.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, but that doesn't necessarily make it equal to a duplex.
Yeah, so typically, or let's say before 2020, a duplex was it had a special zoning.
Okay.
It was either like a multifamily zoning type.
Right.
And all these rules have changed. So I think that I would say the appraisal industry is still, we are not dealing with the change, but there's been big changes, and I don't know how it was consulted or considered. But I'm happy that it's happening. I'm happy that we have opportunities as homeowners and as Californians to do things that we obviously have wanted to do for many years.
Yes.
And I would say ultimately that that 5-bedroom is now going to be maybe a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom duplex.
Right.
Now, where are we going to go and find those comparables?
Exactly.
Think about it from that perspective.
Right. Exactly.
And if that actually, does that add value, or does it?
Right.
Because while I agree that they're going to get the better function, it may be an issue for them on the back end.
Right.
That's why I say add a second unit.
Yeah, adding a second unit is a great idea no matter how you do it.
Yes.
But we need a good team and resources to get it done because everything's changing. But we're going to take a short break right now, and we'll come back with Lionel Thomas, and we will continue to talk about accessory dwelling units and real estate.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real men of real estate.
Men of Real Estate Radio Show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Welcome back to the International Radio Show, Wealthbuilders Radio Show with your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes. I'm here with Lionel Thomas. We're talking about ADUs, the valuation, steps you can take to improve your property value. And so when Lionel, we were talking in the last segment, and we were talking about, conversion of a house within the footprint.
Yes.
We didn't even mention, attaching, because that same location, they not only wanted to split the home with the master bedroom and adding the kitchen, but also converting the garage, which would be a junior ADU.
Yep.
So really trying to turn it into a triplex. Okay, so the laws allow for certain things, but like you say, they're site specific.
Yes, exactly. City specific.
Yeah,
site specific,
yeah,
yes.
and that's why it's so important to put together a team and to get the right resources and to get local resources, as local as possible. We know contractors and people, they have to drive, and we got projects all over. But if you can put together a team, so when you have questions, you can get them answered, and a person like myself with a consultant, you can call me and ask me the same question maybe 4 times or 5 times, but not bother your architect and your contractor, because you want their time to be spent getting the job done and moving the permits down the pipeline and getting the structure up on your property. And so, again, with the laws and with accessory dwelling units, a lot of time people just want to kind of eyeball things, and I get calls, and I'm talking to people, and they're talking about manufactured, and I think manufactured homes are fantastic.
Yes.
But you can't eyeball the manufactured home and know exactly what you're getting, because the park model that is cheaper and just to be put into a mobile home or manufactured park is different than the one you can put in your backyard. And then that one can be different, because if you go, I think it's MHP, or you go to a certain level, it's built to the same level as the standard stick build. Yeah. It's just partially done in the factory. But if I walk through 3 identical homes, I mean, structurally, my eyes see the same thing.
Yes.
But my pocketbook won't, and the value of my property won't.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing, and maybe some precautions we can take when we're looking towards manufactured homes as ADU?
All right. So just speaking from experience, from my recent memory, I've done one in Miraloma that was like a home built in, let's say, 1940 on maybe half an acre of land.
Okay.
And this, they had a family settlement, and they moved a manufactured home from one site to this site in Rupa Valley.
Okay.
And obviously, it's unique. So as an appraiser, picture this, okay? We already described that scenario where the single family is now a duplex, and then we need to find a duplex with 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, and 1. Now we're looking at a single family zone, single family, and we're looking for a comparable that has a manufactured home or prefab home in the backyard. And it gets kind of tricky. We, as an appraiser, you have to prove your adjustments. You have to prove why you do things. You can't just make it up.
Right.
So I find myself searching 5 to 10 miles or going years back trying to locate just one house with that kind of setup.
And then have to make the adjustments as to the
try
quality
to justify
and all that.
the decision.
Wow. And so we talked about moving, because I had a call with someone that they said they could get a manufactured home put in their backyard and everything. But if it's not on the solid foundation, it's not real estate. Number one,
it's movable. Yeah.
Number two, I've been told and ran into issues that they say once a manufactured home, say if it's in a park or on a lot, if it's moved to another location, it's not insurable. It's like all kind of issues that come up with that.
I didn't like the assignment. It was for a family.
Okay.
But I did it, and like I said, a lot of the appraisals I can just do them. I can just dance through it.
Okay.
Boom, 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 boom. Here you go, customer.
Right.
But sometimes you get properties that are so unique that I'm uncomfortable with my decision making because I already know that there's not a lot of. This is a unique, one of a kind property. Like basically appraising a church would be another example.
Right.
Because all churches are unique.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you're describing right now is kind of unique, but over time and as more people make this step, it will become the norm and there will be comparables. But there needs to be, I guess, more infrastructure to get more done quickly, I suppose.
Yeah. And I think, and one of the things that I really fell in love with at first, and I've kind of, and not really backed off, but I've seen some of the issues, is that I thought that with a standard home and getting a modular, the modulars are not the old trailer park homes we're looking at. They're not your grandparents, home, trailer home, right?
They're efficient.
And they're efficient and they're brand new and the modular is built, to the same standard as ground up. They're just in the factory, kind of like a car assembly line, right?
It's the future.
And everything. And so to get them there, and they're still a little bit cheaper, and, to work with a company like U.S. Modular that I'm associated with, to get it from beginning to end and still save, some money was a great thing. But I had some insurance people that says that in your mixing construction types, ground up and modular, that when we come to insuring the property, they had issue. And then again, with some appraisers not being, trained, they'll look at that modular and try to assess it like it's a trailer park modular versus, California standard construction. Yeah. And so any tips on that or, other than picking the right modular company, any tips on that?
Well, this is why appraisers, we have different forms.
Okay.
So when you're doing a manufactured modular or a mobile home is kind of there's the 3 M's.
Yeah.
You're going to use what's called a 104C. It has its own specific form and valuation process.
Okay.
When you're doing a single family, you just use a regular 1004 or what's called a URAR, Uniform Residential Appraisal Report. So just as an appraiser, now we're taking 2 different forms or 2 different property types and trying to join it into one. So yeah, if you can imagine, I'm already scratching my head right when you call me and tell me address. I look it up and I see it. So
exactly,
like I said earlier, you need to search wide and go back in time to try to find 1, 2, or 3 in order to justify your decisions. But it's a challenging one.
Yeah, and I think that this is common for any new industry, anything that's coming out, and people shouldn't be discouraged. No. Again, this is the niche that I'm carving out as a consultant with ADU Advantage, just to be there because it's so many moving pieces. A lot of times, homeowners haven't built anything before. Number one, number two is that things change from day to day, and talking to the city, because we can go to the city and talk to the same person about the same project and get a different response based on the words we use. Okay, right. And so using all that, we're here to let you know that there's resources and that every industry that's involved in real estate, like the appraiser, like the contractor, consultants like myself, we're all trying to work together to make this possible and just to be a resource and so forth.
If I had to speak on it for a second, I would say find like a vacant site and just build 2 modulars there.
Exactly.
Right? And that would be at least conforming on that form. But to be honest with you, the forms are all supposed to be changing pretty soon here. So, and the appraisal industry is changing too as we speak. And, we appraisers want to do good work. We want to make sure that our appraisals are quality and dependable. And when there's new types and new zoning rules and things are rolling on and changing, we're like kind of the last horse in the cart, so to speak, to get our new rules of engagement, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep. Yeah, and I understand you talk about like forms changing. On the multiple listing service now for realtors, there's the section where they ask this whole series of questions about an accessory dwelling unit, and people are relying on that information, but we still need a lot of education because just because we call it a casita or a granny flat or some other in-law quarters. Does not mean it's not an ADU.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean it is an ADU.
Exactly.
So you have to understand, the components and record the information as well as possible, and to reach out to people who understand accessory dwelling units, because it's not simple and it's a moving target right now.
Yes. Even so, to kind of go back to the comparable conversation, depending on how someone enters that listing, that's how I'm going to locate it. So if you enter it as a multifamily property or a residential income, and I'm looking for comps in residential, it's not going to be found.
Exactly.
Right? So we have to really, and I guess the MLS systems and the developers have to really look at that and look at what is the best process, and then educate all the users and how it's set up so that we can all use it
uniformly.
Yeah, uniformly.
Yeah, and I understand that. And like I said, I'm trying to help be that one of those educational hubs to help train people, and and I know it's the attorney in me, but words matter, okay? The law is for accessory dwelling units, okay? Yes. And they have a definition. Casitas, yes, that's what they were called when they may have been built, but then they've been, rehab, garages. I mean, and back, like you said, back in the day, those garage conversions, like we had so many back houses in LA, but you weren't allowed to have a full kitchen, only a little hot plate. You couldn't have a full bathroom. And so we're not talking about those. We're talking about sustainable living spaces. And if you do have some of those old illegal, I will just say this real quick, if you do have those conversions or structures that wasn't, permitted fully or at all, and you kind of know that, or you can't prove this permitted, that the accessory dwelling unit laws now are relying on amnesty for those violations and allowing people to bring them up to code. Nice. Now, it does cost, but the cost of bringing an illegal structure up to code is a lot less than if you have a fire in that structure and somebody gets hurt.
Yes.
Okay? Because you're not supposed to have people living in illegal structures, and if there's a fire or an emergency and they find out that you are renting that or having people live long term in that, the insurance company can wipe you out.
Can I speak on that?
So yes, real quick, because we have a couple minutes. Okay.
If you do have a casita that's was done in the 80s, 90s, or 2000s or 2010s, and it has no heat source, it's not really a living area. If it doesn't have smoke detectors, it's not safe to occupy. Exactly. And this is what she's referring to when you want to bring it up to the modern standard. At least safe, sound, and sanitary would be the minimum.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, so we definitely need to know that. And we're here to help you, and so please reach out to us. Lionel, can you tell them how they can reach you and contact you?
Yes, you can call me directly on my cell phone. My cell phone number is 909-510-3353. My website is newmanthomas.com, NEWMANTHOMAS.com, and you can click and schedule an appointment with me right away.
Thank you so much for listening in. I'm Dr. Sharon Barnes, and you can reach me, connect with me on social media at ADU Advantage on LinkedIn and YouTube. Dr. Sharon Barnes, Real Estate and ADUs on Facebook. And so please reach out. We want to be the resource to help you make your ADU dreams a reality, put together the right team, direct you to the proper sources, help you with financing. And if you're in the industry and you're looking to serve more people and make more connections and get more projects in the Inland Empire, please connect to me, because I am building a unit, networking unit to really serve our community. So have a great day, and I will see you next month. Be safe.
You're listening to KCAA, your good neighbor.